What is going on, NFC West fans? Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We are back with another NFC West Roundtable. And of course, we got some football games to talk about because we are going into the Divisional Round. Only 8 teams remaining, and 25% of those teams are representatives of the best division in sports, the NFC Best, which is, of course, the Los Angeles Rams and the San Francisco 49ers. We can talk about these previous games we had in Wild Card Week. We only had really one good game. Luckily, it was one of the games that we will be talking about. So go ahead and bring everybody in here. We will start with CG. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. It's another round to go.
Yeah, man. Big old dubs for these two guys on screen right now. We'll bring in the AZ Sports fan. Mike, how you doing, man?
What up, brother? I've had better days, but hey, I'm good.
The hair looks good, man. That's the most important part about
Appreciate it.
And then
Appreciate it.
we also have our Seahawks representative, Steezy A. Smith. How's it going, man?
Man, I'm feeling good. I know the games weren't the most entertaining, but it was all around. It was a great weekend of football, so plenty to talk about today.
Hey, man, it was a good weekend of football. I will say I really think that we only had one good game on the weekend, and that was the San Francisco 49ers against the Dallas Cowboys. That game played at AT&T Stadium. Everybody would like to kind of chime in and say that Raiders and Bengals game was good too. And yeah, it was a 7-point game, stuff like that. But did it really ever feel like the Raiders were going to win that game? I don't know if that's just me. At no point was I like, man, the Raiders might do this. Like it didn't feel like it. So either way, man, we'll go ahead and hop into this. We'll start with that game, that San Francisco 49ers Dallas Cowboys game. I know we were all watching. We're all big football fans, so we were all there watching that one. But CG, your boys came out with a big old dub, man. What do you got on that one?
Oh, man, dude, this was the game that I was waiting for, and I was hoping this game would happen. But, man, this game kind of started off with us getting the first drive and scoring on the drive, and then getting physical, getting on Dak Prescott, consistently getting under the pressure and then stopping their running game. The defense has gotten better, but when Bosa and Warner were out, that was the only concerning factor. But we had the depth pieces. Those guys stepped up. There were some guys that you're not even familiar with. This Charles Awuhu that we picked up from the Houston Texans from a trade, this guy had 1.5 sacks. He stood out. Quite a few of the guys in the rotation, like DJ Jones, he doesn't get much recognition, but he did a really good job. But Deebo Samuel, let's talk about Deebo Samuel. This guy just made it look ridiculous, bro. This guy's, forget about him playing receiver. We could just have him at running back against Green Bay for that game. But Dallas, they had no answers. He had like 72 yards rushing and a touchdown, averaged 7.2 yards a carry, and we finished on a dominant fashion. Dallas was getting opportunities, and we were able to finish it. So the fact that the reaction of what I was expecting, I expected us to win by 3 points, but I didn't think we were going to win by 6. But it's shocking that we finished on a strong note.
Yeah, that was some good stuff, man. I'll go actually over real fast just our picks that we had for that game last week. Looks like Mike is the only one that picked the Dallas Cowboys. He said 33-30, so hey, you missed that one, man. Just a heads up. We also had Steezy had a 27-26 win for the 49ers. I had a 33-20 win for the 49ers. And CG, you did have 49ers win with 31-24. So I think technically you were the closest as far as the point differential at least goes. So that's a plus. You got that one, man. But you were talking about Deebo, though, man. What was up with them putting him running back first play? What was up with that?
Oh, that was just the perfect way to execute. We were catching Dallas off guard. You know, they have that type of defense. But Michael Parsons said he was up for that challenge. He was up for that bully. But who bullied him this game? This Niners offense did. And my boy Juwan Jennings he laid the lights out of Trayvon Diggs, bro. Trayvon Diggs didn't even see it coming. He got light out. And Michael Parsons, he talks about that he's ready to bully the 49ers. Who came away with bullying who? Parsons got bullied.
Yeah, man. The 49ers obviously an extremely physical team, and that was exactly what the Dallas Cowboys have kind of struggled with all season. So I did expect the win. I didn't expect it to be – I mean, okay, I want to know from a 49ers fan perspective because I've seen all the comments, anything like that, but on that final play there, Dak, when he took off, my hands went to my head immediately. I was like, what are you doing? It seems like a pretty standard thing of the Dallas Cowboys, poor game management, poor clock management. And then apparently that one went through. It went through. Kellen Moore was the one that called it. Mike McCarthy okayed it, and then Dak did it. But from your perspective, man, what did that how did that unfold from the 49ers perspective?
Oh, that gave us like a sigh of relief when that happened, man. Like, if it was just me being Dak, I could have slid towards the first down marker and got the first down and then went quickly. But they didn't even notice that they had to give the ball to the referee to let that happen. But the fact that reaction almost gave me what I guess it made me get like a heart attack almost, bro. I was like almost losing it. So the fact that it came in our favor with the last ticket on the clock and it was over, it made me feel like a sigh of relief that I can relax. And it was just, it was one of those weird plays. If it were me, Dak should have just went towards that first down marker and then spiked the ball if he could. But it is what it is.
I mean, they did such a good job kind of moving it down the field until that. But, Steezy, man, I know that you did not have a game this weekend, and I'm not trying to talk trash about it or anything like that, man. But was this weekend, was it just a whole bummer watching everybody else play, or was it like kind of just relax and watch the playoff football, man?
It wasn't a bummer at all. I mean, I think you alluded to it at the beginning of the show. We're all just huge football fans, whether or not our teams are in it or not. Obviously, it helps, to be able to root and watch your team. But for me, even if I wasn't a Seahawks fan, I'd still be watching NFL games, any single day, every single day that I can. I love football, And so, although my team wasn't in it, I do know that we've all had times in the past where we were all sitting at home, not, seeing our team in the playoffs. And so I think if you're just a pure football fan, whether your team is in or not, you just enjoy watching the games. And so I'm kind of kicking back, laying back, just enjoying every second of it. And just one more thing in regards to my team. Sometimes you got to take a step backward to eventually move forward again. And I just understand. And I know that for us, this happens to be the second time in the last decade or so that we're going to have to take a step backward in order for us to take a step forward moving forward.
Absolutely, man. I mean, and I will say, like from my perspective of getting the Monday night game, I think I was stressed out all weekend, like watching these other games and just like knowing that ours is coming, and then like being at work all day Monday, and I'm like sitting there like, and I was trying not to think about it, but then like I got my mini helmet on my desk at work, it's like that, and I was trying to just like focus in. It's like, all right, no, don't pay attention, and I was just trying to zone in, and everybody kept walking by me like, hey, you ready for tonight? Like, man, shut up. I'm trying to focus here. Like, I'm trying not to get all antsy, man. But, man, that game, we had a Monday night football game for super wild card weekend, or what I like to refer to it as is just mass amounts of proof that the expanded playoffs was an absolute joke and was unnecessary. These 7 seeds are not getting it done. We are having a hard time getting competitive football teams in here, man. So didn't want to see that. Would like it to just go back to the old format if it was up to me, man. But AZ, man, I'm not here to talk trash, dude. I promise you that. I want to know though from your perspective, man, because that was such a surprising outcome. I did not expect that to happen, man. But from your side here, what happened?
Well, I mean, I can easily say that the Cardinals didn't play this weekend either. I mean, I think we're probably better off saying that. It was very interesting to see what we saw on Monday. And I was exactly the same way. I worked Monday. Everybody was super hyped up about the Cardinals finally making the playoffs. And then we get that type of performance. It's absolutely bonkers, man, to see what we saw. I just don't understand it. As a Cardinals point of view, yeah, the frustration level's there. And we'll talk about Cliff Kingsbury. I know you guys have a lot of questions about him, and what we can talk about a lot later on. But it just seemed like we were unprepared. I don't know what the game plan was going on. Cliff Kingsbury was hyping up Kyler Murray as best as he possibly can with his monotone voice, saying that Kyler Murray is going to have his best game that he's ever going to have in his career, and he ended up having his worst game of his career. Everything wasn't working. And it all started from that first drive. We couldn't move the ball down the field, but it's been something that we've been talking about as fans for quite some time, that when it's 3rd and 2, 2nd and 2, we're chucking the ball deep and we're not playing to convert the first down. And when it's 3rd and 16, we like to dink and dunk, and it makes no sense. I think that the moment that DeAndre Hopkins ended up getting hurt, it all fell apart. it all fell apart. And it's actually very sad to say that because one player shouldn't be that much of a big impact. I get DeAndre Hopkins is, all that. But, you guys went through Woods being out. You guys adjusted and you ended up, making the trade for OBJ and everything kind of worked out. And honestly, for the Arizona Cardinals, didn't work out to our favor. Everything was bad. Even coming down to that ugly pick six when Kyler should have took the safety. If you're looking at the points, it was just overall when it rained, it poured. And I'm honestly kind of glad that we're not in the playoffs anymore. We honestly didn't deserve it. So hopefully I can be stress-free watching the rest of the football games because what I saw, I wasn't obviously happy.
Yeah, from my side here, I mean, it was kind of a twofer. I mean, we saw the Arizona Cardinals just come out flat. It just didn't look like they were really ready for playoff football. And on the other side of it, I think that the Rams probably put together their best performance of the season, which is a heck of a time to have it. David Long Jr., you alluded to his touchdown. That was the Rams' first defensive touchdown of the season, and what a time to have it. Troy Reeder, I mean, he's been rough all season. He's like – everybody's been nervous about Troy Reeder this entire time. He actually had the green dot for this one with us losing Jordan Fuller. We don't have Ernest Jones right now. So it was a nervous time, man. Especially Eric Weddle is in there, and we signed him on Wednesday, and he's playing on Monday. And it was like, man, I was stressing, man. We talked about it last week. I was worried about the middle of that with Ertz and everybody. But, man, the Rams put together one heck of a performance. The Cardinals – at the end of the first quarter, had -8 total yards on offense, which was included -11 passing yards. So, I mean, I saw that and it was like right away. I was like, all right, Raheem, do not screw this up, man. Do not let up on there. Like, we were doing fine. And then 40 yards of total offense going into halftime. And it was honestly just one heck of a day, man. But it was, like I said, it was both the Rams playing really, really well and the Cardinals, I think, just playing poorly. And hey, man, I'll take it. I think that we kind of made a little bit of a statement there. I know that the Cardinals have – I mean, they're now 1-5 in their last 6, exiting this season. But I think it's one of those things like we kind of clung on and held on to win the division. And then we also, coming out of that, just bust up on the Cards at who was the second-place team. And we can kind of – I feel good saying now it's like, okay, yeah, we are NFC West champs. Like we did it. We showed it because the Cardinals had a chance to do what the Rams did last year, which was go to the NFC West winner and play. And it seemed to work out here. We do got a super chat coming in from Corey Davis, man. Appreciate you being here, hanging out with us on this NFC West Roundtable. Steezy A. Smith, what do you think of the Dallas Cowboys 49ers game?
I thought it was lovely. I know as a Seahawks fan, I'm not supposed to, be rooting for any of you guys. But, I mean, as you guys know, I was rooting for the Niners just because my hatred for the Cowboys exceeds that of any of my NFC West counterparts. And you can ask me why later. But to me, it was everything that I'd expected. Obviously, I didn't expect it to come down to, to the final play. But for Dallas to kind of end their season in the fashion that they did, that's just – I mean, it's right on schedule. It's what the Dallas Cowboys do. What can go wrong will go wrong. And, I mean, to have 14 seconds left on the clock and to even run a quarterback draw, I mean, that in and of itself is just – I'm speechless. Like, I think the general rule the rule of thumb is that you need at least a good 15 to 16 seconds if you even want to run a play, much less a quarterback draw. And you have no timeouts. And for Dak to blame the referees instead of holding himself accountable, because he should know that as soon as the play ends right there, right, the ball, you're supposed to hand it to the ref. You're not supposed to, place it on the 24, 25-yard line. And then he has the nerve and audacity after the game to call out the refs. I know earlier on Twitter he apologized, and so he definitely, stands by what he did. He apologized for what he did, and I respect and I appreciate that. But for him to blame the refs, I mean, come on, y'all. This is the number 1 penalized team in football, and that didn't change. 14 penalties for well over 100 penalty yards. This team did it to themselves. Jimmy G even gift wrapped you guys an interception in the fourth quarter, which gave you guys momentum, and you guys still ended up Dallas Cowboying it away. And so it was everything I wanted to see. It was everything that I expected to see. And 49ers, I mean, man, I won't be rooting for them against the Packers, but they'll definitely give the Packers some trouble. I think Dallas, for people to have even recognized them as Super Bowl contender this year at any part in the season, I always thought that was ridiculous. And Mike McCarthy, I'd be surprised if him and Cliff Kingsbury both have jobs entering the season.
Oh yeah, we'll kind of ask those questions after we do some game previews here, because I definitely have some questions here, especially considering the way that the Cardinals season ended. Definitely have some questions about the confidence levels, all that stuff, but we will get into that. But we have 2 NFC West teams remaining. 25% of the teams remaining are representatives of the NFC West. It's like a little bit sad we don't get to play each other, because that'd be awesome and would guarantee that the NFC West would continue on. But you know what? We're gonna end with you on this one, CG, because the 49ers do play the Green Bay Packers. That game will take place on Saturday. It's the late game on Saturday, so we'll end with you, CG, since it is yours. So I'm just gonna make you stressed out over there and think about it a little bit more. But we'll start with you, Mike. Give me your prediction on this the 49ers and the Green Bay Packers.
I went against the San Francisco 49ers last week. And I think the biggest reason why is because I wanted to kind of make believe that the Dallas Cowboys were better than they actually were, because the Cardinals beat them. So I wanted to kind of, act like they were good. But honestly, we shown what the 49ers can do. And I'm actually very, very impressed with how they're using Deebo Samuels. It's amazing. It's really, really cool. Now, this is going to be a really tough matchup. Honestly, I'm excited. It is going to be in Lambeau. So cold weather is going to take a big impact here. It's going to come down to Jimmy G or Aaron Rodgers. I got to put my hat on Aaron Rodgers. If I'm going to place a bet, I'm going to have to say Aaron Rodgers. No disrespect to, San Francisco 49ers. I should have picked you guys last week. That was stupid on my behalf. But I'm going to go Green Bay just because home field advantage and Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to say 27-24 Green Bay.
Cool. And real fast before we move on, do you want to field this question here from Payo Time? You have been vocal about the firing of Cliff. What would it take for the Cards front office to make that move? Real fast on this one.
What we would need to do in order for them to make the move, I mean, Michael Biddle just really needs to kind of look himself in the mirror and say, is Cliff Kingsbury, did he peak? Is this his peak at this moment? And if that's the case, then we should be moving on from Cliff Kingsbury. Like I said, we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but I don't see Cliff Kingsbury winning us the Super Bowl. And that's the end-all be-all right there. If he can get us another mediocre year, which that's what a lot of fans are trying to get to, because he got us the 5 wins to 8 wins to 11 wins. To me, it's not enough, man. What we saw this performance yesterday was a lot more telling than just we're getting better each year. He's not that coach for me, man. He really isn't. So I would hope Michael Bidwell would be able to fire him, but knowing our organization, we're stubborn as hell. So I don't know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in, man. Yeah, we'll kind of circle back to that topic here after these picks here, but we'll go to Steezy, man. Who you got?
Man, forgive me, but which match are we talking about again?
We're talking 49ers and Packers here.
Okay, my bad. I just wanted to clarify. Man, like I said, it's going to be a tough matchup. I know Green Bay's defense, they performed like a top 10 unit throughout the course of the year. But if you paid attention in the last couple of games, they've started to bleed a little bit of yards, especially on the ground. And so they're a little bit more vulnerable there than originally perceived. And if you just pay attention to Aaron Rodgers and what the Packers have been doing every time they're matched up against the Niners, you would think, or no, you would see that the Niners are Aaron Rodgers' kryptonite. And so that on top of the fact that their ground game is humming right now, Deebo Samuel, CG, like you alluded to, he's just so dynamic and so special offensively. No one's going to be able to cover that. He can go up against the best defense in football, and I don't know if they'd have answers for that one-handed. That monster, my gosh, he's so special. But I think that at the end of the day, even if Nick Bosa plays, even if Fred Warner plays, I'm still going to have to ride with the Packers. I think this is the year in which Aaron Rodgers finally exercises his 49er demons. When you look at San Fran, yeah, they're going to be able to run the football on Green Bay, but at the end of the day, I think Jimmy G's going to have to make a few plays down the stretch, which he's certainly capable of. But in a shootout or in a battle with Aaron Rodgers, 10 out of 10 times I'm going to have to go with Aaron Rodgers, especially when you look at how vulnerable that San Fran pass rush is. I know the Niners are able to get pressure without blitzing, and so that's definitely a good thing that's working in their favor. But with Green Bay getting reinforcements back, with them being as healthy as they are, with them being as rested up as they are, San Fran, they're playing on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
And so this is somewhat of a short week for them, and that was that was a tough battle against the Dallas Cowboys. And so for them to just go into Lambeau Field, I don't know. And so it'll be a close game, but I think that at the end of the day, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, Allen Lazard, who looks like a legitimate number 2, they're going to carve up that secondary, because if San Fran isn't getting pressure, their secondary is going to get absolutely torn apart. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been putting on a clinic all year long. He's a likely MVP. And if he's not able to get it done against that patchwork secondary, yikes. But I think I'm going to roll with Green Bay here. I'm going to say Green Bay 28 to San Francisco 24.
All right, so a couple of close predictions here going in favor of the Green Bay Packers. The way that I kind of see this game, obviously the 49ers going on the road to Green Bay, that's a tough spot to be. I kind of alluded to it last week, was the 49ers are perpetually 1 year behind the LA Rams. It seems like everything we do, 49ers do that the same thing the following year, which would mean losing in Green Bay in the divisional round, ending the season that way, which is what we did last year. But, for this one, the Dallas Cowboys are not a very good football team. And I think that I liked the matchup of the 49ers against the Dallas Cowboys, and it still really came down to Dak screwing it up. It could have obviously easily changed, and Jimmy in the fourth quarter throwing that interception, I think that raised some red flags for myself. It was, for me, that was seeing him throw that interception was like, oh, he's not the guy. Like, he can't do this. I don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback. I don't think he has that ability to go through that. I just don't think he has the ability to go into Green Bay, go toe to toe with Aaron Rodgers and pull it off. And I have questions about the Green Bay Packers. I really do. I hate the bye week. I'm never a fan of getting the bye week. I want to keep playing, just keep everybody fresh, all that stuff. The Packers also have guys returning. We don't know if Jair Alexander will play in this one. It doesn't look like he will, but I mean, different guys coming back. Zadarius Smith, Bakhtiari came back in week 18, but only got a couple of snaps, and he's going to be back in this one. So these guys are still shaking off some rust, and they also have that week off, which makes me a little bit nervous. But I'll just say I think that the Green Bay Packers are the best team in football right now, and playing at home in Green Bay, I mean, that's a tough place to play, especially in the playoffs, man. And ultimately, I do think the Green Bay Packers do win this game. The NFC runs through Green Bay, and I think that the winner of the Sunday game will go to Green Bay. But as far as the outcome of this one, man, it is hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers, especially when his opponent is Jimmy, who is going to be on a new team next season. So I'm gonna go a little bit further as far as my gap goes in points here. You got 3 AZ, you got 4 Steezy. I'm gonna go 28-20 with the Green Bay Packers win. I think that feels about right. I don't know the weather in this one. I didn't actually check the weather on this one, but it's also Green Bay in January. I'm sure it's not going to be hot. So, this one worries me. I will say, though, for the 49ers, if there's any team that the blueprint of beating this Green Bay Packers team right now, Steezy was talking about it. They've been a little bit, rough against the run in recent weeks here. I mean, the 49ers are a team that can absolutely get it done, but I'm going to give this one to the Green Bay Packers. CG, what do you got?
Man, I keep hearing the doubts, the underdogs. It bores me that you guys are picking against my team. It's like, I know it sounds like I'm a bit homerish, but when you've seen the way we've been playing, man, we are a scary team. Green Bay's always played against these red-hot teams, and what's happened with Aaron Rodgers? He always fails against these red-hot teams, the New York Giants. That's a team that everybody kept sleeping on. You got quite a few other teams that's done it in the past. What happens when Aaron Rodgers plays a much hotter team? He crumbles. So the 49ers, you look at their road record, they are a better team. They play better on the road than at home. Forget about Levi Stadium. We don't need Levi Stadium. We just need to pack our bags and play on the road and take it as a home field advantage. So I'm going to put it like this. It's going to be a strong statement. I've said the prediction the previous weeks, what I said was correct. And I'm going to put it like this. The Niners will win, and they will curb stomp Green Bay, because the fact that you guys are sleeping on us, it's going to be a statement. The Niners will win 31-20. The fact that they don't have an answer for Deebo Samuel. They don't have an answer for Elijah Mitchell. Jimmy doesn't have to put on the world greatest stats. As long as that edge rusher does their job, they've been doing solid. Even without Nick Bosa, without Fred Warner for those 2 quarters, they did a really good job. So as far as me looking at that matchup, I was a bit concerned, but I feel like as they get into the next game, I feel like they're going to get better. So I see us winning by 11 points. And if it comes down to that statement, like I said, it makes me look brilliant. But I feel like this team has the pressure. They're the underdogs. You gotta keep that energy. I like it.
I do love the confidence, man. I would also like there's something to be said about like you obviously think that your team is gonna go in and win this game, but also I mean I would be talking so much more trash about you, CG, if you were like, you know what, we're probably not gonna get this done. Packers are a damn good team. They're gonna win. Okay, so I'll give you that, man. So
CG, real quick. I hate to rain on your, on your parade, on your sunshine, CG, but that game against Dallas, the way that you guys were kind of controlling the clock, controlling the ball, that shouldn't have been as close as it got. But then Dallas started to, San Fran self-imploded, Jimmy G, like we talked about through that pick. But Dallas, I mean, look, part of the reason why they lost that football game was not only because of the penalties. Obviously they shot themselves in the foot a little too much. But when you look at Green Bay, they're not a team that's going to shoot themselves in the foot, if ever. Aaron Rodgers had 4 interceptions on the year. He had 5 last year, so he has 9 in 2 years. Jimmy G had more than that this year. And so when you look at Green Bay, they're just not a team that's going to, shoot themselves in the foot. And so because Dallas did that so often, doesn't that at least raise a little bit of concern? Because Green Bay is not going to do that. You guys aren't going to have that luxury. Like we talked about, Jimmy G isn't going to be able to go head to toe against Aaron Rodgers, head to head. And with some of those injuries, you guys were able to get after the passer without a Nick Bosa or a hobbled Fred Warner. But against Green Bay's offensive line, I'm taking Green Bay's offensive line over Dallas's. I love the confidence that you exude in your team, on your team, which is good. You should. And I'm not saying that you should, refrain from doing that. I'm just saying I think there's a few things that you're kind of overlooking per se. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Let me put that in your response. All right. There's a better way how you can stop Green Bay's offense is pretty much running the time of possession. If we can do exactly what we've done in the previous time, run the clock down, how's Aaron Rodgers going to do anything? How's he going to come from behind? As long as we run the ball, as long as Jimmy plays smart, Jimmy has his moments, but I'm pretty sure this is the kind of game that Jimmy will at least play decent. He won't have to play great, but I feel like this defense is up for that task. If anybody else has an answer of stopping Mosley, stopping Adams, it's going to be Emmanuel Mosley. Emmanuel Mosley, it doesn't matter about the size. Jimmy Ward, he'll figure out something. This secondary, this crew, they got some answers. Aaron Jones is going to get his yards, of course. A.J. Dillon, he'll get his yards, but they're not going to run those big plays. They're not going to get all those big runs. So when I look at this matchup, what is the one thing that makes Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable? Pressure. You get under his skin, you get under his face. This is the best step of talent that we've had for quite some time. Like everybody's talking about this 2019 talent that we had. I think it's a little bit better than the previous years. I think this is the best step we've ever had on that front four. Like if Warner's out, we got Alshire stepping in. If Bosa's out, I like what I see out of Arden Key or Awuhu going in. Those are solid rotations. DJ Jones, he's been capable when the opportunities present itself. Kevin Givens, he's been really solid on the rotation. So I feel like this depth is pretty deep this year than it's ever been. As far as the secondary, that's a little red flag. I'll agree with that. But I like what I see out of Abry Thomas. He's gotten better as the season goes on. Emmanuel Mosley, he's kind of proven himself. So I do have the utmost confidence, man. Like, you want me to say, the Packers are going to beat the brakes, man? That's fine if that's what you want me to say. But no, we're going to come over there. We're going to come to Green Bay. We're going to curb stomp them, and we're going to have Aaron Rodgers pack himself and retire. That's what we're going to do.
I just want to know for the record, I wrote down the time that all these comments were happening because I would love to bring these back up next week.
Yes, please.
We need to make it. We need to use that for like an intro for next season.
Yeah, CG, with all of the respect that I could possibly muster here, I do not think you are giving this Green Bay Packers roster and coaching staff nearly enough credit.
Yeah. Week 3, they were playing really competitive, but the last time I remember, we're a far different team.
That's ancient, man.
I look at Green. Okay, I look at Green Bay. It's pretty much evenly matched. We're physical. They don't have physicality. Do they match up physical? Who wins matchups when they're physical? Finesse doesn't really fare well.
Well, that's why they've installed or implemented more of a two-headed monster, in their ground attack. A.J. Dillon is the thunder to Aaron Jones is lightning, and that's actually what gives them that physicality factor, not necessarily the edge. I'll give San Fran the edge there. And just another quick nugget. Bro, 2019, you guys had an all-pro in the secondary, Richard Sherman, and you had another all-pro in DeForest Buckner, and you mean to tell me that this defense is better than that defense? I can't go there with you, my brother.
I'm not comparing. I'm comparing like the depth chart, like the deep wise. Like we have better depth than we had in 2019. Like I feel these guys can step in and play better. Why would I want to give Green Bay a chance when I did a lot of my due diligence? It's Aaron Rodgers, these other receivers, the running game. We've been tested. Like a couple of weeks, maybe I would have had some doubts of it, but I'm starting to see a lot of this team getting better. Avery Thomas, he's kind of proven me, he's kind of gotten better, and I shut my mouth about it. Jimmy Ward, he's did his thing. I shut up about it. A lot of our talent, I feel like this team has a chance. I feel like we can make a statement. And it's just any given Sunday or any given Saturday, I mean.
All right, CG, I hate to break this stream of comments that I really think might come back on you, man. But we're gonna move on to this next matchup here. We do have another NFC West team playing this weekend. The Los Angeles Rams will head down to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. This LA Rams team that is the cause of what I believe the direct cause because of their game this last night, of some saltiness that we're seeing in the comment section right now. I think it's a direct correlation. But we'll go ahead and start with you, AZ. Mike, man, what do you got in this one? Rams at Bucks.
Kind of the same thing. I mean, we've seen what the Rams can do, obviously. Yeah, witnessed it firsthand. I'm going to keep it short. I definitely think I'm going to go for Brady in this situation. You guys are a good team. Nothing to take away from you guys. I know you did it before. But every game is different. And I do feel like when Tom Brady's in the playoffs, he's a different beast. So I'm going to go with Tom Brady. I'm not going to say it's a blowout. I do think it's going to be a very close game. I'm going to say 21-17, Tom Brady and the Bucks.
All right, Steezy.
Man, I know it's never smart to bet against a Tom Brady. That's the quickest way to lose money. But honestly, I don't see it happening, and I hate to say that I think the Rams will advance to the NFC Championship game, but I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Tampa Bay, obviously, yes, they still have a Tom Brady. Mike Evans had 9 catches, which is a playoff franchise record for 119 yards. Gronk obviously was still doing Gronk things. Giovanni Bernard and Keyshawn Vaughn did more than enough to replicate, playoff Lenny's production in the ground game. But I just feel like with some of the injuries that they sustained, Tristan Wirfs, we don't know if he's going to play. Leonard Fournette, he's still not a lock to play. Obviously, Chris Godwin's torn ACL has kept him out of action for a while now. Antonio Brown walked out on the football team. Richard Sherman isn't going to be there. Levante David is back. JPP's back. Shaquille Barrett's back. But I just think that Tampa Bay's weakness, which is their play in the secondary, is going to be magnified and compounded by the fact that LA, my gosh, the weapons, OBJ wasn't even there the last time the Rams actually played the Buccaneers, and Tampa Bay obviously won. But I just feel like, although I trust Tom Brady more than I do Matthew Stafford in a playoff situation, I just think that at the end of the day, Tampa Bay, their weapons, it's not going to hold up. They won't be able to go mano a mano in terms of weapons anymore, especially with so much attrition on that roster. I think that it will be a close one. I think that it will be a shootout. I honestly think that this could be maybe the second most entertaining matchup of the divisional round after Kansas City and Buffalo. But I just think that, look, Tampa's lost too much. And LA, I'm not going to go as far as to say they'll, make the Super Bowl, but they'll at least get it to the NFC Championship game. I know a lot of people aren't, ready to see LA. And I think if I saw the spread correctly, Tampa Bay is favored by 7.5. That is way too much for me. I don't know why.
I saw 3.
We saw 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is probably from a couple days ago, but 7.5. When I saw that, I was just like, what? that's absolutely bananas. But I expect a close game. I mean, if Tom Brady does manage to pull it out, well, he is Tom Brady and he is the GOAT for a reason. I'm just not gonna. I wouldn't put money on that actually coming to fruition. I'm gonna say the Rams, they prevail. I'm gonna say that they prevail 34 to Tampa Bay 31.
34-31 for the Los Angeles Rams. Yeah, I've actually got that one at I was looking at the wrong one. Yeah, I got it 3 on FanDuel right now. So which has not changed from what I've seen. I'm not sure if there was something different or something like that. Sports books get all crazy sometimes. But CG, we'll go with you, man. Corey Davis coming in with another super chat. I do appreciate you being here and hanging out with us on this NFC West Roundtable tonight, Corey. CG, Ruthless Sports, been right with his picks so far. Stand by, CG. So apparently your word is what is true, man. So who you got in this Rams and Bucks game?
All right. Well, it is hard to defend your Super Bowl title, and it's a lot of pressure, a lot of injuries, a lot of stuff is kind of in against the Bucks. But I feel like the Rams are just pissed off. They took it on the Cardinals, and I can feel like it could happen to Brady, and Father Time's going to catch up at some point. So, and hear me out. Mark my words, you're going to see the Niners and Rams in the NFC Championship game. It's going to be part 3, and you're going to hear it from me in my mouth. So I feel like the Rams are going to make a statement. They're going to dominate the Bucks. I got this game 34-24. The Rams. They're just going to dominate. Cam Akers is going to ball out. That's for sure.
34-24 was the score of the Week 3 match in Los Angeles between the two teams. Rams pulling away with the 10-point win in that one. So CG right in line with that one. What I could say about this one, man, obviously super pumped just to be here. This is some awesome stuff right now. We sat through many, many Rams years that were rough. All right, so the fact that we are here right now, we're looking at a good situation, man. Matthew Stafford had one of the best Rams quarterback seasons of all time. Cooper Kupp had one of the top 5 wide receiver seasons in the NFL of all time. We have, in a 5-year span, the Rams in the regular season wins, second most wins in a 5-year span in Rams history, only 1 behind the greatest show on turf. So McVay's, putting us in the right direction. 3 division wins in the last 5 years. We had 3 in the previous 18. So, hey, man, I'm just happy to be here, man. It's been some fun stuff. What I can say about this matchup specifically, the Rams against the Tom Brady-led Buccaneers are 2-0. Beat them last year in Tampa Bay. Of course, no fans in that one, so a little bit different. But then also this year earlier, Week 3. But like I said, man, that was Week 3. That's basically irrelevant today. I mean, we were a very different team. We were sitting in first place, undefeated before Arizona came in the following week and took it away from us. So that's a long time ago. That was pre-Von Miller. That was pre-OBJ. So very different teams. And of course, the Bucks had Godwin and Brown. And I really think that if Raheem Morris, he makes me nervous, man. He always does. But if Raheem Morris could just not screw this one up, just put Jalen Ramsey on Mike Evans and let us get after Tom, then I feel decent about this one, man. So obviously Gronk is a massive weapon in the middle, but it does look like the Rams could be getting back Ernest Jones at linebacker. Troy Reeder had the dot last week, but Ernest Jones, much better linebacker. The Jones and Traven Howard combo, I want to see that going into the future, man. I think that's a sweet combo. Now that Weddle has one more game under his belt, I mean, we only need him for hopefully 4, but he's got that one. So maybe get a little bit more comfortable. He whiffed a bad tackle against Arizona last week. It was like, man, why did we bring him in here? Like, come on. But other than that, man, I'm feeling good about this team right now. I feel like the Rams are playing fast. They're playing hard. We're missing some people. Robert Woods is, of course, not here. We're definitely missing people in the secondary. Our captain, Jordan Fuller, on the back end. Ernest Jones, like I had mentioned, hasn't been playing. So, I mean, I'm excited, man. This Rams team is playing some really good football right now. And these Bucks, they're playing good football too, man. I'm not taking anything away from them. I mean, obviously, they didn't let up any points except for the fourth quarter against the Eagles. But also, let's not pretend like the Eagles had any business even playing past the regular season. So it's hard to judge that game. Both of these teams, very good. And honestly, I mean, we're looking at 8 teams right now who – any of the 8 teams remaining winning the Super Bowl, you're like, okay, yeah, like they're all good teams. Like, I think everybody deserved to be here. Not saying that, certain teams did not deserve to be here, Arizona, but it just kind of worked out that way. If the season was like 10 games, y'all would be, the best ever.
No, we would just crumble in the playoffs. That's all would happen.
Yeah. It happens. But as far
I feel like the hot team is coming. So the Rams are getting get their acts together, and San Fran is just a red hot team. So it's anybody's guess. But Green Bay is the number one team for a reason.
Honestly, we got 4 hot NFC teams right now. All these teams have been playing some really good football right now. So as far as the score prediction in this one, I do think the Rams win this, but I think that for some reason, man, something's telling me that defenses just show up a little bit more in this one, man. Aaron Donald last week against the Cardinals, well, yesterday, I keep saying last week, but it's very recent. But, Aaron Donald playing good, that pass rush playing really well. Von Miller is playing great football right now. And we brought in OBJ and Von Miller and these guys for this. We didn't bring them in to play in, week 13, 14. We brought them in so that they could perform in the playoffs, and that's exactly what they're doing. So I feel good about this, man, but these defenses are better than they're getting credit for, I think. So I'm going to go a little bit lower, man. My last show that I did, I was just a guest on the Bucks Report. I did lower than this, but I'm going to go ahead and say 20-16 with the Rams coming out on top and heading to the NFC Championship game, where I have the Green Bay Packers, who always struggle in the NFC Championship game, historically speaking here. So, you know what? Just get the Packers to the NFC Championship game, and you're looking decent. All right. So,
all right. Let me ask you something. Let me ask you something.
What's up?
What happens if the Niners do get into the championship? Will I get I was right about this prediction?
Yeah, absolutely. I will give you your credit, CJ. Absolutely.
I'll take accountability.
Yeah, I just want it from the other side that I don't want to say win. If the Packers come in and they've got this hot team, all these superstars all over the place, and they beat up on your Niners, man, I want you to just take the hit.
Okay, I gotta get going, bro. Appreciate it.
I got you, man. All right, so we only have one person picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Oh, did he say he got to leave?
Yeah, he had to go. He said.
Oh, okay. I thought he had a couple more minutes. That's cool though. Well, and actually, my questions are for you two anyway, so it's fine because we got the picks in. We had Mike. You were the only one picking the Bucks in this one, which actually, honestly, that surprises me, man. The Bucks, Brady at home in the playoffs. Hey, I'll take it. If 3 of us, if 75% of this crew is going to be taking the Rams, I would take that as some confidence on my end here. But man, Mike, this Arizona Cardinals team for another year started extremely hot. Best team in the NFL. We could probably put together clips of Pat McAfee and Colin Cowherd and Dan Patrick and everybody saying these Cardinals are the real deal. They are a legitimate threat for the Super Bowl. And then by the end of the season, man, again, just weren't able to get it done. I think that J.J. Watt really his post-game press conference, I think, was the perfect response.
Yeah.
We got beat, and if you guys haven't watched his press conference, it was solid, man. But Cliff Kingsbury, man, I want to know from your perspective and that Cardinals fan perspective, how safe is his job? Do you want him out? Do Cardinals fans want him out? What is the vibe? Do you think it's actually realistic that he's out? We've got openings right now. There's some really strong coaches out there right now as well. So what is the vibe out there in Arizona?
So a lot of people want him out. Even the people that were, giving me a lot of, crap last year when I was telling them I wanted him out last year. Now they kind of turned over and they're like, oh, man, you might have been right. Yeah, I know. Obviously I was drinking the Kool-Aid in the beginning of the season. Everything was looking good. And then obviously the downfall. So it actually kind of just comes down to having more questions now. Now fan bases are now even questioning Kyler Murray. And I don't blame him as well. Kyler Murray had a very poor game, terrible decisions left and right. But honestly, our offensive line was bad. It was bad. And I'm not going to put all that in, Kyler also had his own faults as well. That's truthful there. He definitely needs to go ahead and get blamed for that. But, somebody that should put him in, the ability to be successful is supposed to be Cliff. And the moment that we started seeing the Rams constantly penetrate and constantly get pressure on Kyler Murray, I would assume that we would come out of shotgun and do a different formation to help out the young quarterback that we have. And it's just Cliff Kingsbury not being able to adjust. And I think that's the frustrating part in my behalf. So do I want him out? Yes, I do want him out. Most of the fan base, I would say right now, 65 to 70% wants him out now, but you still have your 30% to 25% saying, well, we got better every single year. We went to 5 to 8 to 11 wins, which I see their point of view. But the thing is that if you're wanting to get a Super Bowl, if you realistically ask yourself, is Cliff Kingsbury going to be the guy that gets you the Super Bowl? Most people are going to answer, no, he's not. But the thing is that with our Cardinal fan base is that we love to hang on to the little things. We love to hang on to mediocrity. And that's the biggest thing. And that's the frustrating part about this fan base is that the moment we start seeing a little light, we're like, oh, hey, hang on to him, hang on to him. Next year is going to be a tough schedule for this Arizona Cardinal team. We got the AFC West. So we got Herbert, we got Mahomes, we got whoever's going to be in Denver, maybe Watson, who knows? And then we got Derek Carr, which I know a lot of people give him flack, but he's a serviceable quarterback. And obviously we have you guys to deal with. So it's definitely not going to be an easy task at all. Do I think the Arizona Cardinals are going to move on? I think they're not going to, and the biggest reason is because most people want to see year 4. And I honestly think it's just going to be another disappointment for a lot of Cardinal fans that, heart ripped out, stomped on the ground. Thank you for the season tickets. Appreciate it. Checks cleared. Have a great rest of your day. And I think it's frustrating as a Cardinal fan to see this time and time again. Cliff's not the guy. I want him out.
It's so interesting to watch, especially from an outsider perspective. I mean, obviously, I watch the Rams games in a different way than I watch every other game. You know what I mean? Like, if it's not my team, I'm just kind of watching and hoping for some cool stuff to happen and all that. But when it's the Rams, it's just a different way. I see it just through a different lens. But when they even right away, like first quarter, I mean, Cardinals come out 3-and-out, and they show Cliff on the sideline. And the look that he had on his face, it was like, oh, he's not ready for this. Like he is overmatched here, and he is
deer in the headlights.
It was too big for him.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people that want him back are not really thinking about. They like that we're progressing, and I think that's what they're hanging their hat on. But honestly, if you give anybody this roster, I think we would have at least had 9 wins, even if we had a head coach coming in for the first year or the second year. I don't think it's nothing to do really with Cliff Kingsbury. I think Steve Keim did a very decent job, building up this roster ready to go for this year. And it's really going to be crazy to see what's going to happen next year because we have so many people up for free agency and we can't keep them all. And that's the biggest thing here. Kyler Murray's contract is going to be coming up as well. And now nobody wants to pay Kyler Murray anymore. So it's a mess right now, man. In Arizona, everybody's looking for answers. And the person that we look to for those answers, Cliff Kingsbury, can't find him. And that's concerning.
All right. So before we get some questions on the Seahawks here and what their potential offseason will look like, my only question that I would have is, say your phone buzzes right now with the news that the Arizona Cardinals fire Cliff. Who would you want?
Eddie, I like the idea of Brian Flores. I think that would be really cool. The thing is that he's a defensive-minded coach, and that kind of might hinder the whole Kyler Murray thing. But obviously, you just get an offensive coordinator that can help him out. The guy from the Bills would be pretty decent. Was it Brian Daboll? Yeah, him, yeah. And then I'm also Eric Bieniemy. I think that's a really good option for the Arizona Cardinals as well. Why not give the opportunity? Cliff Kingsbury has 1 more year in his contract. 1 more year in his contract, and this is 2022 season. We're literally just holding hope and praying for a Hail Mary right now as Cardinal fans that it's going to work out. I don't think we're going to move on, and it's because the stubbornness of Michael Bidwell, the owner, and Steve Keim. Steve Keim should have been fired a long freaking time ago, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I gave him credit, a second ago about the roster that he built out, but he can't draft worth of nothing. Isaiah Simmons, wonderful talent. I think anybody would be blessed to have him in the roster. The problem is that the Arizona Cardinals do not know how to use that type of athletic person. We panic. We put him in a position that he's not going to succeed in. Zaven Collins, 16th overall pick. We haven't seen him. at all. And the frustration levels coming through fans. The second round pick, Rondo Moore. So many people, people making videos. Rondo Moore's going to be the next big thing. All I ask is Cardinal fans right now, don't fall in love with the people that you're drafting right now. Don't buy into the freaking hype. Steve Keim's garbage. Let's wait to see what they do in the first year. I want a first-round pick that's going to give us production in the first year, and we have yet to see it since Kyler.
Dude, there is something more that the average fan, the average NFL watcher is missing, or something is going on with Bieniemy, because he's not getting interviews, and when he does get interviews, he doesn't get jobs, and we've seen this now for a few years. There is something going on there. I don't know if he's going into places and just being like, hey, man, thanks for the invite. Thanks for flying me out. But, I got Mahomes and Reed, so I'm good.
True.
Like, I don't want to move. You know what I mean? So there's got to be something there, because he doesn't get interviews, and when he doesn't get jobs. But everybody every year is always, hey, Bieniemy, man, Bieniemy, and everybody wants them all stuff. There's something there, man. I don't know what it is. I don't have that answer. Part of me thinks, though, he's sitting pretty nice in Kansas City right now with a pretty sick roster. He has a lot of toys to play with out there. So, I mean, and teams looking for head coaches typically do not have Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, situations like that. So there's something there. But Steezy, man, it does look like we've seen some reports that are saying stuff like that Pete Carroll's coming in, they're having meetings and stuff like that, but it's normal meetings of like off-season outlooks and stuff like that we're not really looking at a potential change there. Do you have any other information on Pete Carroll's future? Is he there for sure to continue on?
I think from the sound of it, yes, at least his job security is guaranteed for this coming season. I just feel like with Ken Norton, being fired yesterday, I think he's kind of made out to be the scapegoat. And so because he was fired, I don't see Pete Carroll just being fired all of a sudden. I don't know if I've talked about it on this show, but I have been on record saying that because Pete Carroll just signed a 5-year extension, I think it was a year ago, there's going to be a whole lot of money for them to have to, pay Pete if they were to fire him. And so I know it's, owners, they have billions and billions of dollars, but no owner is going to want to pay Pete, who's one of the highest paid coaches in football, to just coach from his couch at home. Yeah. And so I think Pete did a great job of kind of, maybe convincing Jody Allen that, this season was kind of a wash because of Russ's injury. Imagine if Russ didn't miss those 3 games, we'd still be in the playoff hunt. Now, if we were to make the playoffs, I don't think we would have made any noise, just because, it pains me to say this, but for the last couple of years, the Seahawks have kind of been moving backwards rather than forward. And so I just hope that Pete is able to kind of relinquish some of his power, at least as a vice president of football operations. I mean, I think he's earned another shot to coach the team. But as far as being the guy who has final say over all personnel decisions, I think that has to end now. This roster has been poorly constructed, poorly built around Russell Wilson for the last several years now. And John Schneider is the general manager, so he deserves some blame as well. But Pete Carroll, at the end of the day, he's the guy, saying yes or no. And he's the one making these trades. He's the one making these draft selections. And in the draft, we've just been awful. I don't care if we've found gems in Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Jordan Brooks, and whatnot. I mean, we've had so many years and we've messed up so many times. And so I just hope that he loses a little bit of power in that regard. But as far as being the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, at least for the 2022-2023 season, I think there's enough for me to say that he'll be here barring something catastrophic or something crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that makes sense. Especially the season ended for you guys, and it kind of felt like after that week happened and we started watching playoff games and he was still there, it's like, oh, okay, he's not leaving. And we've seen it on our side with Jeff Fisher. We gave Jeff Fisher an extension, and we're all sitting here like, you've got to be kidding me. And then the following week he was fired. So it turned into like a severance package. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, all right, man, here you go. Like, we don't want you anymore, but we respect you and stuff like that. Go fishing in Montana and stuff like that. Here you go. But the other person that has been in the conversation of maybe not being in Seattle much longer, and honestly, there was some comments made that kind of make it sound like Russell Wilson might actually be done in Seattle. Do you have any more information on that?
I don't know if you guys were watching the Manning cast last night, but if you guys noticed, Russ and the Manning brothers, they didn't talk anything Seahawks related. And I saw reports earlier today that kind of indicated that there was a prior agreement in place for them not to talk about any sort of Seahawks drama. And to me, that's a little fishy. It's like Russ did air out his frustrations on the national media or in the media last year. And so for him to kind of, come to an agreement with the Manning brothers and talk about how, let's refrain from bringing this up, that's a little suspicious. That's a little fishy to me. And I mean, given the season that we had last year, right? 12-4, NFC West chance. We lost in the first round, but to win 12 games in a 16-game season and for Russ to voice his displeasure, what do you think is going to happen the year after, in which Seattle finishes 7-10? Now, he has to know and understand that, yes, part of the reason why Seattle only won 7 games was because he missed 3 games and then he tried to, play through injury in 3 or 4 others. And so he probably recognizes that, but he also has to recognize that, like I said earlier, this team has been sliding backwards ever since we missed the playoffs back in 2017. I know we supposedly retooled instead of rebuilded, and we ended up going back to the playoffs. But come on, y'all. This is my least favorite statistic, but it's the one that kind of sticks with me the most. 1 playoff victory since 2017, and that's 1 less than the Jacksonville Jaguars since 2017. And that's been the consensus worst team in football for the last 4 or 5 years running. And for us to still not have more playoff victories than them in a 5-year stretch, I mean, don't they talk about how the NFL is a what have you done for me league lately or something like that? Yep. And so I know there's kind of a lack of accountability on Pete's part, just because ever since Jody Allen took over as the owner, she hasn't really been, in football operations as much. She's kind of been staying, behind the scenes. She's not really, putting in her input. But I think, Russ recognizes all this. And I think maybe he's just using this as some sort of a pressure, or he's trying to put pressure on the front office. Like, look, if y'all don't make moves this year, if you don't address the offensive line, I'm out of here. And I think he's really just kind of putting the pressure on Pete, putting the pressure on John Schneider. They even talked about how they expect Russ to come back and remain as a starting quarterback, which is what they're supposed to say. But I think that this could be Russ's last straw. If he doesn't see moves that are to his liking, I think we could very well see him be traded. But I will just add, grass isn't always green on the other side.
Hey, it might be pretty green in Denver, though, depending on who comes in as the coach. Just saying, man, that's been my prediction this whole time.
Especially if they get Dan Quinn. I think if they were to get Dan Quinn, because I heard that they were trying to get Dan Quinn to potentially appease Russell Wilson. Now, if they were to do that, oh my gosh, I mean, I think that's only going to add fuel to the fire. But I think all eyes are going to be on literally everything and anything that Seattle does this offseason. I mean, if we don't sign any sort of free agents, if we don't make any sort of moves, in terms of trading for other guys, if we're not making picks that we feel like is going to help the football team, then maybe Russ demands a trade later in the offseason. Who knows? But we definitely have to play our cards right, because, oh, man, I think, that could very well come to fruition. Russ leaving town if he doesn't feel like he can win over here.
It'd be crazy to see a Russell Wilson-involved draft day trade. That would just be insane, man. But what I can say about this, like, I know his comment was that he's keeping his options open, which does when I first heard that, it was like, oh, he's leaving. You know what I mean? But it does allow him to be like, no, I decided my best option was to remain in Seattle and get it done here. Go Hawks kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like what he does. But yeah, I can say from my perspective, I feel good that Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford will still be around next year. So we don't have any question marks there. Really just putting it out there to the universe, to the Minnesota Vikings. Feel free to hire Raheem Morris as your head coach, guys.
I saw that.
Go ahead. Doesn't matter to me. But, hey, guys, thanks for coming out. Everybody who is here watching us, thank you guys so much. We only have maybe one more of these. We are going to do, once the NFC West is completely out, we'll do one more on the following Tuesday to kind of just go over the games and give a little bit of an off-season outlook, and then we'll wrap up the NFC West Roundtable on the season. So we at least have one more pending these games. Hopefully we can get a Super Bowl preview. Just saying, like, if it was us at least. Yeah, I don't want to do a Super Bowl preview for the Niners, really. That sounds terrible. And there's nobody here to defend that. So, I don't want to do it. But hey, guys, everybody subscribe here, like the video, please. Appreciate you guys. The AZ Sports Fan, check out that channel for all the Cardinals and all the other, of course, AZ Sports. And then Steezy A. Smith over here, CG Ruthless Sports, who is out of here. He's going to work right now. But everybody who is hanging out with us tonight, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. And we will see you next week. Let's go, Rams.
Cool.
Go